Welcome everybody, I'm Alexander Linz, Head of Content of WatchAdvisor.com, reporting live from Baselworld 2019, and I am at the booth of Breitling. Actually, you can see it in the background that I'm here with Breitling, and I have a selection of 10 novelties on the table, divided in air, sea and land to make the thing a little bit easier for you. And I will go through these new watches and tell you a little bit about the watches and what happened and where they come from and what was the idea of making them to be presented here in Basel in the year 2019. The first one, it's not a coincidence, it is my absolutely favorite in the new collection. It's a re-edition of the Navitimer from the year 1959. So you can guess how many pieces are going to be made. Yes, 1959 pieces. And the re-edition of the Navitimer that was made at the time being is so authentic that when I first saw the piece from a distance, I thought they're showing me an original piece. So the detail, the authenticity of the details on the dial, on the case, even on the case back is really amazing. And what Breitling did, they used their in-house movement, the B01. They took off the automatic winding system and they made a hand-wound movement, as it was in the time being. And so this watch is really authentic, most authentic as possible. And the one really cool thing is there's even the AOPA logo on the dial, the Aircraft Owner Pilot Association. And as it was authentic in the time being, since these watches were also brought to Europe, the spelling of AOPA is missing on the dial. So the version that was mostly sold in Europe didn't have the spelling, and so also you see that on the new version that is done this year here at the Basel Fair. 1,959 pieces are going to be sold of this replica of the Navitimer made in 1959. It's a very, very beautiful watch. It's really gorgeous. The Supernova is, I have to stop dreaming. So next, we are still in the air. Is something that Breitling now introduces are watches that take the spirit from the time being of the 1960s and 70s, watches that probably could have been done for airlines at the time being. These watches didn't exist. It's an inspiration they took. They made an Navitimer collection, but the watches in how we see them here, they did not exist. They took, let's say, the typical red from Swissair. You have the Swissair logo here. They applied the Swissair red and the typical hands, these rectangular hands, and the way they did the subdials, an inspiration coming from the Navitimer of the 1960s and 70s. Exactly the same exercise was done with the version that is done for PanAm. PanAm is unfortunately no longer existing. Was a very cool airline at in these days, and PanAm had this typical blue, and you see the blue applied on the dial. It's coming from the logo, and the logo is of course shown on the back here on the see-through back, where you can see the in-house movement, the B01, that of course is also powering the Swissair version. And when I do see the Swissair logo, I really get goosebumps. It's a crazy story that Swissair these days is no longer there, and it's Swiss now these days flying around. But I get goosebumps because I was really flying a lot with Swissair. Crazy. And then last but not least, TWA. You remember probably the logo. They had some brown and red. And the brown and red, you find it again on the dial and also used with the strap, that wonderful vintage type of strap they're using here. And so it's again an inspiration they did. And imagining what probably could have been sold in these years to an airline or as a special edition to one of these airline companies. So Swissair, PanAm and TWA. These watches are part of the capsule collection, as Breitling names it. They are not limited, they're only limited in time. So they are going to be produced in a certain time period and then no more of them. You can either get them with that beautiful vintage rubber strap type or with that excellent smooth delicate Milanese band, what Breitling is absolutely famous for. I think there is no other Milanese strap I know on the market that is so smooth and in the same moment, in the same way, so resistant to whatever the watch might go through with you. So this was Air. As mentioned, my favorite is of course the re-edition of the 1959 Navitimer. That's really a gorgeous watch. So now let's swap over from Air to Sea. Breitling has now touched the legendary Superocean. A lot of details have changed, only little details we have to say. The dial now is much cleaner in sense of readability. Some of the numerals have been some have been taken away. You only read 1296, and then you have the date indication at 3 o'clock. The indexes are more brighter, so you have some work that has been done to make those watches you show the time in a better way. So the color of the dial has changed. It's a special color that has been applied to make the dials less shiny and absorbing the light to give you even a better reading of the dials. This is the 46mm version in a diamond-like carbon coating. It's a steel watch, but it's DLC coated. The bezel has a varnished coating that is protecting, in fact, the bezel of getting scratched. So it's an application, a special treatment of color they put on the bezel, so you avoid the bezels to get cut since they stand out, and probably when you wear the watches will be the first part you will touch something out, you will touch and you could probably scratch. The same here. Some of the numerals on the dial have been taken away. The treatment of the dial is done in a way that reflects less light, so the reading is better. We have a 46 version, we have a 44 version, we have a 42 version, 42mm version, 46, 44 and 42. The same exercises here have been done. And last but not least, a small version in 36mm that is very nice for a woman's wrist, I would say, and in white. That's a very trendy color. I have seen a lot of white coming this year. I think this is going to be a bestseller in the next upcoming summer, because white, very trendy. I've seen a lot of white. So that is what Breitling has done with the Superocean. Of course, you have the helium escape valve. Everything is here. The bezel is only turning in one direction, as you should have it on a diver's watch. That's logical. It's really perfectly turning 1 minute by 1 minute, so it feels good. It's really a watch that you can use on a professional conditions if you want to. And this watch is waterproof for 2000 meters. This watch is waterproof for 1000 meters. So if you want to deep dive, this probably could be your watches. They could. And to say it again, no, not again, to just mention it, in the Air collection, Breitling is using in-house movements, and here Breitling is using some ETA movements, and the entire collection, as always in Breitling, is chronometer certified, officially chronometer certified. I think it's still the only manufacturer who really brings all its collection to the COSC here in Switzerland, and all the watches are chronometer certified. So air, sea and land, and when we get to land, we come to two pieces that are partnering with either a car or a motorbike. And the Bentley is not new. You have seen that watch probably already. That's a new Bentley watch. There is a plate here in the typical style of Bentley. You have indicated Bentley. And it's a watch with a green dial, matching very much the colors of Bentley and the colors that are typical for a Bentley car. And there's also another cooperation that is now has been announced. It's the cooperation with Norton Motorbikes. You have also a plate indicating Norton. And this is a watch that really plays around with the Norton, let's say, vintage style motorbikes, comes in the style of a vintage watch, and is let's say, a very cool project with the bracelet and with everything you get here. And the funny thing will be that probably, and this is not yet confirmed, but it could be that Norton is going to manufacture kind of a Breitling motorbike. So it is possible in the future that you can buy a motorbike that has, let's say, some Breitling elements, or is inspired by Breitling designers, or is even taking the Breitling, let's say the Breitling spirit, yes, on two wheels out on the tracks. So Breitling partnering still with Bentley, of course, a long-lasting partnership. And if you have been once in a Bentley, and if you look on the watch, you will see the Breitling logo, not the Breitling logo, the Breitling watch with the Breitling logo there. And it's always a Breitling telling you the time in a Bentley. And there's one little thing I want to mention, because there were a lot of discussions. Where are the wings in Breitling? Why did Breitling give them up? You know, these discussions. So people were asking me, people were discussing, why did Breitling get rid of the wings? They did not. The wings are here. They are on the special, they are on these tool watches, on the newer versions of Breitling. They keep it. So the wings are there, as always. You have the Breitling wing, and then you have the Breitling logo. Only when it comes to, let's say, authentic, or let's say more elegant watches, they don't apply the wings. And I must honestly say the B is much nicer on such a watch than if you would apply that big wing here. So I very much like it. I can really tell you it's fantastic. And of course, on the 1959 version of the Navitimer, there is that authentic logo. And of course, here on these caps from the capsule collection, you also have the B. That's how it should be. And honestly, I don't think that the wings should be elsewhere than they are on those tool watches. So very nicely done, and I don't want to stop my little presentation without giving you a clue what these watches cost. And if you are interested in buying the 1959 Navitimer, it will be sold around 7,900 Swiss francs, including the VAT. This capsule collection with the 3 watches dedicated to Swissair, to PanAm and to TWA are going to be sold for 7,800 Swiss francs, always including the TVA of 8% here in Switzerland. The DLC coated Superocean in 46 millimeters is sold for 4,450 Swiss francs. The 44 millimeter version is sold for 3,700 Swiss francs. The 42 millimeter version for 3,600 Swiss francs. And the nicely looking watch for ladies with that nice white dial and a white bezel is sold for 3,300 euros. And the watches either dedicated to Breitling or Norton, they are sold for 8,000 Swiss francs. Always in the version as you see it here. Of course, the one here, I have to mention this, with the Milanese strap is a little bit more expensive. So the price I mentioned for the airline versions, for the airline watches for 7,800 is of course with the leather strap and not with the Milanese. It's a little bit more expensive, but not really much more expensive. So guys, if I may do a recommendation, and if you are into pilot's watches, I think 1,959 pieces only. So you should go and reserve your piece right now, because I don't think that in the near future that watch will be made in this excellent vintage style once again. And I have to say chapeau to Breitling. It's a really, really cool watch. Good. Thank you for watching, guys. 10 new novelties of Breitling here in front of me. I hope you liked them and you liked my little presentation I did for you. If you were wondering how I could memorize all these prices, I was cheating, of course. There was a little paper here, so I'm not as good as you thought. So I put these little marks on a paper. They were standing here and I was reading it. So, but chapeau to Breitling, nice job. Thanks for watching, of course. If you like what we're doing in general, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. to like our videos, and please do also not forget to have a look at our Instagram account and Facebook. We are working hard here to present you all the novelties and everything from Baselworld 2019. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you very soon.